I just don't understand why you won't do it. You're so pretty and popular. Why won't you just do it?
Mom, I told you. I don't have any plans to get married. I've just never seen it for myself.
But he's a doctor and you're a doctor. What's the problem?
You realize I'm an intern, right? Do you think that's the same thing as being a doctor?
Everyone around us assumes it's going to happen. You're the only one that insists you won't do it. My friends already all know you as a doctor. What are you waiting for? You wear scrubs at your job. You clearly look like a medical professional. You're a doctor. Come on.
I don't know why you think it's so impressive that I'm an intern, Mom. It really isn't very impressive. There are loads of people doing it at my hospital. All I do is study until I pass out on my books at medical school. I'm not really doing anything. Even now that I've become an intern, do you even have any idea what I do all day at the hospital?
Of course I know. You complain about everything you have to do constantly. It's all I hear about. You spend your days running around doing jobs for all your superiors.
Exactly. And that means making coffees for all the junior doctors and surgeons whenever they ask. Not actual medical work. Very occasionally, they might let me squeeze a patient's pimple, if I'm really lucky. I head out really early every morning and print out the doctor's schedules. It's all just errands.
Still, you're on your way to becoming a doctor. It's amazing. One day I know you're going to set up your own private practice and be the best doctor in town. God, you just drive me crazy sometimes. What about after you're done with your career? What comes next? Just hurry up and get married to a nice boy. This boy was with you through the first few years of your residency, so he has seen you in some tough times. He said he just wants you as you are, no expectations, and he will wait for you until you're done with your residency. He already told you that he doesn't mind if you don't want to have kids, too.
You're just saying this because of Rosie.
Oh, now you're really making me mad. This boy wants to marry you. What's the problem? This has nothing to do with your sister. She has no idea what she's doing either. Why would I tell you to follow what she's done?
Because you always say the same things to me, and I know why. You just see Rosie with her boyfriend and tell me that I should get one too. She's 10 years older than me. How can you expect us to be wanting the same things from our lives? We're at completely different phases in life. Why are you always telling me that I should be copying her?
Your sister has always said that she is focusing on saving right now. At least she has a boyfriend. She's so determined to save herself a big chunk of money, and then she's going to get settled and move into the next stage of her life.
I don't understand why she has to save up so much.
The amount she's aiming for has nothing to do with me and nothing to do with you. That's just her target. Don't you see? If she does that, she's free to do what she wants with her life.
Yes, of course I get it. That way she can do everything all at once. Buying a house, a wedding, everything.
You know, so many of my friends have kids that only care about having fun, and they're losing their way. I have one friend that doesn't have any kids or grandkids at all, actually. You are my legacy. Without my kids, I have nothing.
Mom, I'm so tired. Can't this wait for another time?
I'm home! Oh, you're here earlier than I expected.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Are you sleeping here tonight? You don't have a shift at the hospital.
I don't know why you're asking when you clearly already know.
Is Mom bothering you again? You seem mad.
Oh my God, can both of you please just lay off for 1 second? I'm begging you. She knows you're not going anywhere, so she just keeps nagging me about my career and a marriage. I'm 26, for God's sake. Give me a break. Does no one care about what I want?
Hey, Mom. Yeah, honey. Why won't you make eye contact with me? You haven't looked at me once. I'm not talking to you. Are you serious? I told you I'm not going to get married, and now you won't even look at your own daughter's face? Oh, don't blame this on me. You're 36. You know exactly why I'm upset. You've been dating your boyfriend for over 2 years now. Why won't you just get married? Don't you think I might want to have grandkids one day? Please, just think of your poor mom. I know, Mom. You keep telling me that you want grandkids. Just leave Fern alone. She's working hard enough all day. I'm going to my room. Come and find me if you need something other than to hear that I'm getting married.
Bye!
I'm not going to be able to rest easy until the two of you clean up your acts. I worry about you constantly. What are we to you? Just another burden on your shoulders? You think that's all you are? You're way more than just another thing for me to worry about. Every night when I'm trying to sleep, I spend hours worrying about what would happen to you if I wasn't here. If you were boys, I wouldn't be so worried, because it would be easier for you to have successful careers as well as a family of your own. If marriage is so bad, do you really think I would want to see the two of you married off? I've been married myself. I know what it's like. If you just meet someone that loves you for you, and that wants to spend their life with you, I promise you will be 10 times happier than if you lived your lives alone.
Mom, it's rare to find people that have the same ideas of marriage as you in our generation. It isn't life or death anymore.
Why do you only ever see the bad things? I'm sure there are plenty of nice guys out there too. You've seen how happy your father and I were. We loved being married. It made life so much easier, having a partner to help you. When you're born as a woman, your children are everything. After you have kids, your life becomes all about them and making sure you do your best for them. God, when you were born, I thought you were the most beautiful little things in the world. The two of you are my whole world. Whatever happens, my #1 priority will always be my precious daughters. Why won't you get married when you already have a good job? It's not like you need to be focusing on your career. Your boyfriend has a great job too. What's stopping you from getting married? Your boyfriend is 3 years younger than you, and I know he has asked you if you want to get married. I just can't understand what your problem is.
I mean, I know you've been bothering my boyfriend about this every day too, so I'm not surprised he told you he agrees with you. This is really going to drive me insane, having both of them nagging me to just do it.
You can get married and still go to work. I'm not asking you to give up your career. I don't have to take care of your dad anymore these days, for obvious reasons. Now I get to focus on my 2 children again, and make sure you're growing up well and making smart choices. If I can't take care of my kids as their mom, what am I supposed to do all day? This is the most important job I've ever had. Don't you think so too? Please, just give me 1 grandchild. That's all I want. I just want to know that you're settled and our family name will keep going. My little girls, if they knew what this was doing to me. I'm so worried they're going to end up as old maids, and they won't have anyone to help them when they get old and need their family. Will I be able to pass away peacefully, knowing that they're 40 years old and married with children of their own? It's all I want for them, to be safe. She likes her boyfriend, obviously, or she wouldn't still be with him. Does she feel like I'm trying to hold her back by pushing this?
God, why is this becoming such a big issue? I'm going to get married sooner or later. I don't understand why she's turning this into an argument. I really want to have a child of my own one day, but knowing how tough it is for the eldest kid is putting me off.
Your father wanted to see the two of you married eventually. We've been saving to help pay for your weddings for years. It's really important to us. Don't worry about being able to afford it. Just let us help you, okay?
Okay, Mom, let's talk about this properly tomorrow, okay?
I'm too tired for this right now. Okay, but I will be waiting. We need to make a decision soon.
Sure thing. Rosie, are you sleeping?
Why are you up? Are you tired? How come you aren't sleeping? Oh, it's so early.
I was just wondering, why won't you get married? It would stop Mom nagging all the time if you did. I feel like you're the sort of person who could easily know if you want to marry someone after dating for 2 years. You know what you want. How come you won't do it?
It just isn't important to me. I don't really think about it much.
Why don't you just do it? It's Mom's biggest wish. She just wants you to be settled and happy.
I'm not doing it until I can give Mom a big chunk of money to pay her back for everything she's done. I want to do that first before I pay for a wedding.
Why are you so insistent on giving her money?
You know, Dad's been sick for 5 years and hasn't been working. I know it's not really her responsibility or mine to cover him, but she's definitely in some debt and I want to help her get out of it. I don't want her to be panicking about paying it back on her own if I could help.
Yeah, I guess you're right. You know how she stopped working at the school, too, so she doesn't have that salary coming in every month anymore either. I'm sure she's been spending more than that every month on medical bills, as well as all her own normal expenses. I mean, I have a good job too, but I've never thought of doing something like that for her, honestly. Well, see if you can start saving some money too. Not for mom, though. Remember, your savings are to start your own practice, okay? I know she wants you to get married, but let me manage that. Did you know?
Do you mean, did I know that you don't want to get married? Yes, I did. I know that you would rather be single and that you don't really think about looking for a partner. You're too career-driven. I get it.
Rosie, I want you to live the life you've dreamed of. Work hard at the hospital and get yourself to where you want to be in your career, okay? I will. I promise.
You absolutely must not do something just because mom wants you to. Do you understand? You need to make your own choices and do what you want to do.
Okay, I understand.
Mom is on her own now, but she's not your responsibility. Don't live your life just trying to please her, okay?
I get that, but Rosie, I mean, your boyfriend is still 3 years younger than you. What if his family want him to get married? They might not let him be with you.
Are there really families like that left these days? I've never heard of someone's parents forbidding them to date a certain person. Besides, if they were going to disapprove of me, why would he have started dating me in the first place? He knew who I was and what I wanted. What? I don't understand. Did you just say you want to get married?
I did.
But just a few days ago, you said you would never want to get married to anyone. What made you change your mind? I thought you wanted to stay together, but not get married.
Oh, don't get too excited. And close your mouth before you catch flies. You look like a frog. I already know that marriage is the graveyard of love. I'm not doing this because I think it would be some huge romantic gesture. My mom has been nagging me constantly for weeks about how I would regret it later if I never got married.
Why on earth does your mom think you would change your mind about getting married? Does she think she could just convince you?
I mean, you know how long she was married to my dad. It's something I can do for her to set her mind at ease, and I don't want her to worry about me. I guess I just realized that my idea of paying her back for what she's done for me isn't the only way to thank her. I just need to save about $100,000 for her and maybe $150,000 for myself. That should more than cover the wedding and buying gifts for my future in-laws. I want to be able to help my husband's family too, since I'll be one of them after the wedding. If I can't manage to save enough, I suppose I'll just have to take out a loan to pay for everything. It wouldn't be the end of the world.
Are you okay if we start off living somewhere a bit cheaper after the wedding? I don't want to start overspending.
Yes, of course. I mean, you earn $50,000 a year and I earn about the same, but I'm sure we'll get promoted at some point. If we live somewhere cheaper, like you say, we can find something that's nice but affordable and then save as much money as possible.
If you stay at your current job, your travel expenses should be pretty low too.
I'm thinking of buying an apartment soon, though, as an investment. The other place that you found was asking for a pretty big deposit, right? Wasn't it quite expensive?
Yeah, it was.
How much have you been able to save up until now? Do you have a decent savings account? Obviously, my mom is on her own, but I don't want to abandon her financially when we get married.
I mean, I think I have about $130,000, but most of it is loans. I have maybe $4,000 saved on my own.
Are you kidding me? If you know how important it is to me to have a good pile of savings, why did you ask me to marry you when you don't have much saved?
I mean, I figured you would just cover whatever was left that I couldn't afford. I thought you meant to save up something for myself, and you would save up however much you wanted too. There's no point expecting anything from my mom either. You know how tight she is with money now that she's old and retired.
I asked you how much you would be able to contribute. When did I make it sound like I was going to pay for everything on my own?
I mean, I thought that was something that you wanted to work towards on your own. To be fair, I do have another savings account with about $100,000 in that I could contribute.
Is that really all you can give me right now? You've only got $100,000. I mean, you'll just have to get a loan to cover the rest of what we need then.
The most I would be able to get from the bank is about $40,000, so I still wouldn't be able to save $200,000 total.
Okay, give me a minute. I need to figure out where my head is at. Okay, here's what we could do. So, you put in $40,000 and I give you the $20,000 I have saved. That gives us $60,000 already. And then each month, I'll just send my salary from work straight over to you so our money is all together. And then you can just give me some spending money from our total income. If we really manage our budgets and pull everything together like that, I think we could do it. What do you think of that as a plan?
I mean, obviously that sounds good to me, so I'm happy.
I guess we're just going to have to keep the wedding expenses to a minimum. It's only one day. We don't have to spend too much, I'm sure. The wedding is always going to be expensive, so let's go with this plan for now. At least we know it's the best we can do at the moment and still be able to put some money aside for savings.
So you don't want to ask our parents for help? You want to pay for everything completely on our own?
That was literally the first thing I told you. I don't want to rely on someone else helping us. I don't want either of our families to have to give us a handout. I think it would be more meaningful and impressive if we could manage to save up on our own, just the two of us. If we do take money from our parents, I worry that we would get used to being able to run to them for help if something goes wrong. But I want to be independent. I want the two of us to work hard and make it by ourselves.
That's a really great attitude, babe. I'm glad you thought about the idea of marriage, and thank you for telling me where your head is at.
Well, the two of us aren't getting any younger, so I just figured we might as well do it sooner rather than later, you know?
Oh my goodness. Who are you and what have you done with my girlfriend? If only the you from a few days ago could see you now, wanting to get married as soon as possible.
Stop being so shocked by all of this. You know that I want to have a baby at some point, and I know that you've always wanted kids too. It just makes sense to get a move on before we can't have kids anymore. My mom said she would help with the childcare too.
Well then, do you want to start trying for a kid before we worry about weddings and saving a certain amount of money?
Sure, let's do that first.
I guess we had better start trying today then, huh? Get a head start on things?
I don't know how much faith I have in your abilities.
Oh, come on, babe. Give me some credit. I'm feeling great today. How come you don't trust me?
Stop joking around. This is a really big decision. I've got to get home early today. My mom is waiting for me to get back. See you later.
Oh my god. Are you serious? Do you really mean what you just said? I mean, I guess you can't really back out once you've made your decision. It's a pretty big decision, and you can't take it back.
I'm serious. I realize that I want you to not feel stressed about what's going to happen to me. So it felt like my duty as your daughter.
You had better not be lying to me right now. Be honest with me. I mean, if you're sure you want to do it, then obviously I would be very happy. I knew you would come around eventually. Marriage is a wonderful thing, and you love your boyfriend so much. I'm supposed to be meeting some friends of mine to go to a karaoke place this weekend, you know. This will be a perfect opportunity to tell them about your plans and sing my heart out. Oh, I'm so happy.
Wow, Mom. Is this really such a great thing to you?
Of course it is. I've wanted this for years and years. I'm going to be a grandma one day. Anyway, we all thought the two of you had given up on the idea of getting married, so this is great news. It's pretty impressive. I mean, you're married too, man. Yeah, but I was only 23 when we got married. My wife just pulled me down the aisle by my hair, to be honest. Besides, back then the idea of being single forever was basically non-existent. It was 10 years ago. Things were different. I had no choice. Either way, we're just excited for you. Congratulations, you two. Finally tying the knot.
Thank you. That's really kind of you to say.
Man, look at this guy getting all cheesy. You're acting like an old man handing out life advice. Oh, shut up. Come on, just drink your beer. Anyway, can we do anything to help? This is an expensive decision, you know.
You know, we won't be able to pay for everything between the two of us. Let's get in touch with the guys that couldn't make it today and tell them to chip in some money too. Why don't we buy them some stuff for their new home once they're moved in together? Like a fridge or a dryer. That's better than money because they're expensive, but so boring to buy.
Hey. Buying us a bunch of appliances isn't a good wedding gift. Just give us some money to put towards all the wedding expenses instead. My mom has already said she can buy us stuff for the house if we need.
Man, he was very quick to turn them down. Why is he being like this? It's embarrassing. They were just trying to help.
Oh, really? Well, whatever you decide, just remember that sometimes you have to help your parents out. You don't want to put too much pressure on them to pay for everything.
I mean, he's not wrong, but he's making it sound like Frank hasn't told them that we're not asking our parents for anything. Has Frank forgotten that we're saving up everything by ourselves? We had a whole conversation about it earlier. I'm not expecting him to pay everything either, but he needs to save half the money on his own.
Go on then, how much do you want? Just give us a number and we'll see what we can do. I mean, the more the better, really. If each person could give a couple of thousand, that would be great and really set us up well. Ha! This guy, always the joker. What do you mean? Do you not remember how much you gave me when I got married? You're asking way too much. It's daylight robbery, asking for that much. Well, back then we were all students. I was only working part-time. The expectations are different when you're young. Still, you should think about that when you're asking me for money. Even if things have changed, you're being a bit unreasonable. You have to remember that you have a better job than us. We don't have much cash just lying around. How much did I give you for your wedding, then? Man, it was only about $30. Imagine giving your closest friend such a tiny envelope at his wedding. It doesn't look good. I was the first of our group to get married, too, but I still remember how much you gave me because it was basically nothing. You really think that?
Oh my god, this is so awkward. I wish I could just run away and get out of this conversation before I die of embarrassment.
Wow, this coffee is really great.
Right? I love the kind of hazelnut flavor. It's amazing.
Your mom is such a good cook. She has a real talent for it. Everything she makes for us is really delicious. I love coming over for a meal.
Is that why you inhaled your whole meal? Do you need an indigestion pill?
Well, when she puts so much effort into the food and plating it nicely, then I feel like I should make it obvious I appreciate it. It's her love language, right? I have to show her I'm grateful.
That's right.
Do you think I passed the test?
Of course. My mom loves you.
Good. By the way, this is my mom's phone number. You should add her to your contacts.
Huh? How come?
She said that you should give her a call and say hi before we go over to theirs next week. I guess she just wants to introduce herself.
Oh, I see. Okay, sure.
Well, it's nice to meet you over the phone, at least. I've heard so much about you. Frank never stops talking about you. You've got a very calm-sounding voice. You sound like a very sensible young woman.
Thank you. I hope that's true.
Well, I didn't want to talk about anything in particular. I just wanted an excuse to talk to you about something.
Oh, right. Please, go ahead. You can ask anything you'd like.
I wanted to tell you that I'm a very bad cook. I know Frank has never mentioned it before, because it's really a mother's job to be able to cook nice food for her children.
I see.
So if we eat at home, I have to be extra careful about what I'm making. Seasoning and cooking times and all of that. I'm sure that if you came over, you would be in and out of the kitchen too, helping with the dishes and stuff. Don't you agree that it would be pretty uncomfortable for us both trying to work around each other?
Yes, I agree. I would try not to get in your way, though.
That's good. I'm sure you want us to get on well too, don't you?
Wow, this feels like such a good sign. It should be easy to live with her if she's making an effort to make me feel welcoming from the very beginning. I'm fine with eating at home, unless you would prefer something else.
I'm trying to say I think we should go out to eat, so it's just easier. I don't want our first meeting to just be us crashing into each other in the kitchen. That wouldn't be a great start to everything. I think going out would be easier and simpler for everyone. Don't you think?
That sounds great to me. Thank you so much for calling and asking what I would prefer. I appreciate you being so considerate.
Okay, good. This has been a good conversation. I feel like we're getting off on the right foot.
Me too. Just let me know if you find a restaurant near your place that you would like to go to, and I'm happy to work around your convenience. I can call them up and sort out a reservation. Let me pay too. I would love to treat you to a meal.
Oh my goodness, really? Are you sure?
Absolutely. You've been so considerate to me already. I want to make an effort too to show you I appreciate it.
Well then, if you're sure, I'll think about where we could go and text you the name and address of the restaurant by the end of the day. I imagine we'll need to book quickly. A lot of the places around us are very popular, and they fill up fast.
No problem. Thank you for choosing.
Well then, I had better let you go so you can get back to work. I'm sure you're at the office right now. I'm sorry to be calling you on your mobile when you're just trying to earn money. I hope it doesn't cause a problem with your boss. Blame it on me!
Oh my god, this woman is so thoughtful. What the hell? I thought mother-in-laws were meant to be really demanding and rude. She sounds like an interesting person. I wonder what she'll be like when she really is your mother-in-law. I know, right? Did she suggest going out to eat because you said you wanted to? Or was it her idea? A little bit of both, I suppose. This is the first time I've heard of a future mother-in-law wanting to meet her son's fiancé alone. I guess she has her own system for figuring out if she likes you or not. What if she decides to go somewhere really expensive? They live in a nice neighborhood. There are some pricey places around there. Maybe she'll suggest some hotel lounge and see if you really do pay for it. Maybe. I guess I just have to wait and see. Have you heard of that one just out of town? I think it's called something like the 𝘁𝗴𝗀𝗀 Hotel.
Yeah, a colleague of mine from one of the other departments at work mentioned it the other day. He was talking about when he and his girlfriend visited for their anniversary. Apparently, the restaurant is known for its steak and wine pairings. It's meant to be amazing. He said there were queues of people lining up at the restaurant, and they were all there to try the steak. Apparently, it was really funny, and they were all laughing and saying they hoped the hotel didn't run out.
Are you sure he actually went and isn't just repeating something he heard from someone else?
I have no idea.
Anyway, I imagine wherever you go, you'll end up spending a lot of money. You can't exactly cheap out when you're meeting your future mother-in-law for the first time, huh?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
It's not like she's meeting your parents. I don't really understand why she didn't just invite you over for coffee and a chat to get to know you a bit. You could have just had a few snacks and talked for a while. I don't know why she's making all this fuss. Maybe she's got really high standards, and this is a test of whether you're good enough to marry her son.
Well, I'm done eating. Me too, Mom. I'm really full. Are you all finished too, Rosie?
I am. It was really great.
Okay, good. Well, thank you so much for offering to pay today. It really was very delicious. Although, Rosie...
Yes? Is something wrong?
I don't understand why you're not wearing a proper coat. That looks like just a thin jacket.
I really don't need a coat today, to be honest with you.
I mean, I agree that it's sunny when you look outside, but this wind is really cold. You'll get sick. You should always dress for every kind of weather so you're prepared. You look like you're just dressed to impress. You're going to be freezing, I swear.
I run very warm. Please don't worry about me. I promise I'm not cold.
Your bag doesn't look very practical either. I heard your mom retired recently, but that she used to work as a teacher at an elementary school, right? I hear your late father had a good job too. You must be very proud of them both. Frank mentioned that you're working at a mid-sized company downtown, is that right? They have their offices near the river?
Yes, they were always very proud of me having my own career. They really encouraged me to dress professionally so I would make a good impression on people. I guess that's the way I was raised, and it stuck with me. Besides, this is just the sort of thing that works in this season. Not too hot and not too cold.
Well, I'm sure you are very successful in doing well for yourself. Still, just these clothes and that bag. Is that all you can afford, if you're being honest? I thought you were living a different standard of life that you seem to be in reality.
Well, I think that my bag fits both my budget and my needs. I decided it was a good purchase, so...
You must be a very unusual sort of girl. Normally, young women these days are obsessed with having the latest designer things and showing them off all the time.
I'll be honest. I think I actually like designer products as much as the next person. They feel so luxurious, and it's exciting to get to own one. I didn't want you to think I was just trying to impress you, or that I was really shallow, though. I knew I could be meeting my future mother-in-law, and I wanted to show you that I'm down to earth and sensible. I thought that would be a better first impression. I don't like it when elders judge young people for wasting their money on expensive things, and I didn't want you to do that to me.
My goodness, this girl is a bit weird. She's not a normal young woman of her age. She seems very confident about what she says, too. As you know, you're 3 years older than my son. It seems those extra years have given you some wisdom compared to your peers. You state your opinions very clearly and confidently, too.
Well, I accept that I am a bit older than your son, of course. I feel like I rely on him for a lot, though, especially as we're starting to think about wedding prep and what we want from our lives together.
There was something else I wanted to know about you, actually. So you live with your mom right now, is that right? In the property that she owns?
I mean, I'm not sure why you're curious about that, but yes, I still live with my mom, which has been great for saving up some money since I don't pay rent.
Do you have any debt? Loans, overspending, stuff like that?
I'm sorry?
Well, these days, every household has their fair share of debt. Things are getting expensive, and a lot of families just can't keep up. Some people have a lot of debt, and some just have a little bit. Debt itself isn't an issue, but of course, if you were really drowning, that would be a concern for me.
As far as I know, my mom and dad have some medical expenses left from when he was in hospital for a while. I think they've paid off most of it, though, and she's never mentioned it or seemed stressed. I would guess it's not a big number. She told me that she's hoping to pay it all off soon, so there can't be very much left to pay.
How much is it, though?
I don't know the exact number, to be honest. We've never spoken about it in detail.
I'm afraid I'm going to need to know exactly how much debt your family has. If my son is going to be marrying you, I don't want it to affect him and become his responsibility to help pay it off.
Do you want me to write some kind of confirmation that we don't have any kind of financial problems?
I mean, that would certainly help set my mind at ease. You should make it clear that you will be fully responsible in case something happens and it turns out that you do have debt that you didn't know about. That way, either one of us can use it to make sure we aren't liable if the other household has some financial problems. It's just considerate and respectful, don't you think? I keep hearing on the news about men being scammed by their wives, who secretly just wanted their money. I want to make sure my son is safe, you understand?
Of course, that's totally fair. Thank you for talking to me about this and suggesting a solution. I'll ask my mom about our situation when I get home and start preparing some kind of document to make sure Frank won't be affected in case we have more debt than I thought.
How much is your mom's monthly pension, now that she's retired from her old job at the school?
Can I first ask why you're curious about that? I'm not sure how that's relevant to me.
Well, if it's not much, then you may feel you have to help her cover her expenses, which of course affects your income. Besides, it may end up benefiting you to tell me what she brings in each month. Of course, the two of you are preparing for a wedding right now, and I know from my own wedding that it can be very expensive. I could help cover some of the costs if I know what your situation is and whether your mom is dependent on you. Although, of course, some things will be your duty to pay.
I'm still just not sure what my mom's pension has to do with our wedding preparations. Can you just tell me what you're trying to get at? I don't think I'm reading between the lines very well.
Well, it's normal for a future bride to buy her mother-in-law some gifts, as a way to say thank you for letting her marry her son.
I see. Well then, I believe her pension is around $4,000 a month.
Oh, that's great! I'm sure that's more than enough to cover one person who's living alone.
Yes, she seems to be comfortable.
So she lives in a fairly big apartment with yourself and your younger sister, who's an intern at the university hospital. I guess you don't have to help her out much financially, since she must be managing fairly well on her own. Of course, we don't know how much she has in savings for her old age or to leave to you and your sister. I mean, since you are her oldest daughter. Do you think there's any chance she might leave everything to you? You could inherit everything one day.
Well, I don't know if my mom has any plans to move to a smaller place and save up for us kids, so I couldn't say. Anyway, it's her life and her decision, so I just don't know what she'll decide to do. She's growing old on her own now that my father has passed away. She's earned the money in our household by herself for years, paying for me and my sister and giving us a great life. I think she's gotten used to doing things by herself since it's been like that for so long now.
Wait, do you mean she's been the breadwinner in your family since you were in school? I thought this was more recent.
Well, obviously I was studying, so I could only work part-time. I never made enough to be able to support our family back then. I was studying really hard to make sure I got good grades and could go to a good college, but I had a part-time job too to help make ends meet. I paid to put myself through college, and I've been very financially independent for most of my life. My sister and I have already decided that we want to pay for our weddings and big expenses on our own, instead of asking our mom to cover things. In the same way that I won't ask my own mom for money, I don't intend to rely on you either after the wedding. It isn't your responsibility to pay for the wedding if we're making all the decisions about what we want. I don't think we would get married if we didn't know we could afford it on our own. My mom isn't going to pay for anything, so of course there's no need for you to contribute either. We can do everything on our own. Don't worry.
Goodness, you're just as smart and trustworthy as Frank has said. This all sounds very promising. I'm glad you're financially responsible. See, Mom, didn't I tell you? Rosie has quite a bit of money in savings and she's earned it all on her own. She's really smart with money, and she works really hard. I know it can be difficult to be able to put any money into savings when you're young, so it's impressive that you've been resourceful and managed to save. Mom, this is what I've been saying. She's been really frugal for years, and she has a great nest egg put away. Although, son, I'm concerned that you might find it tough to get started just the two of you. You've worked hard your whole life, but you've had your dad and I in your corner helping you on the way. I want you to know that it's okay to ask your parents for help if a time comes that you need it. You don't have to do everything on your own, okay?
Huh, this is weird. I thought he said his mom wasn't going to be able to help us financially. Why is she offering this now when we've said that we can manage?
The neighborhood that I live in has some cheap houses around. You should look at getting a place near us. I only have the one son, of course, so it would be really lovely if we lived close to each other and could see each other often. I can ask around some of the realtors in the area since I'm sure you're very busy, Rosie, and I know the area well. You've got your job and all the wedding preparations to do. You don't have time to be looking around a bunch of houses.
No, please don't think about giving us money towards the house. I promise we can afford something by ourselves. In fact, we already have a place in mind that we've been looking at.
Well, who's going to help you pay for it? If you won't even take any money from me, I don't see how you can afford a whole house on top of the wedding. What else am I supposed to do in my old age? I have far more free time than you two to find a good property for you after you're married. My house is pretty small, and I wouldn't be able to downsize even if I wanted to. Still, no matter how hard you work, don't you think you're going to need some kind of support from your family? It's much easier to get started on the property ladder if you have help. Most people can't buy a home until they're much older than you two because it's just so expensive.
I mean, I'm not sure what kind of effort you would be putting into it, ma'am. Besides, you and my mom are both in similar situations, and I certainly don't feel I can ask her for money. The two of you both live alone and are paying your expenses by yourselves from your pensions and savings. I can't ask you to do something like that for us. It just wouldn't feel right. Why are you making assumptions about my mom when she isn't even here? I'm sure she would want to help too, but I wouldn't be comfortable with it.
That isn't important right now. What we're talking about now is between the two of you and me. There's no reason to involve her. We've already discussed it in our family and agreed that it would be right to put something towards your wedding and the house.
But, ma'am, even if we started preparing for the wedding after you had met my mom and the rest of my family, we would be just fine. I told you, we've planned for paying for everything ourselves and figured out how to save up and make it possible. I think the right thing to do is stick to our plan and try our best to do it alone and independently.
Okay then, if you insist. We can talk about the wedding after our families have met and we've all gotten to know each other a bit better. Since the two of us are here today, though, we should talk about gifts for myself and my family.
Man, here we go. I guess I had better listen and see how demanding she's going to be. I hope she doesn't have expensive taste.
Sure, go ahead. You're not going to turn your phone on. How are you going to remember everything?
Oh, I see.
So I was thinking first you should give some cash. Say about $300. I think that would be reasonable for someone of your age and salary.
Sure. So would you like me to transfer that to you directly? Obviously, I don't have your bank details just yet, so...
No, don't be ridiculous. It would feel very impersonal to just get a bank transfer. You should give the money in an envelope with the rest of the presents.
Rita, I see what you mean about gifts, and I know normally the bride would buy something for her mother-in-law, but this feels a little unfair. We're not asking for anything from you for the wedding. Isn't it a bit much to be asking for lots of expensive gifts, too?
Well, the alternative is letting me pay for half of the wedding, which you clearly don't want. From the way you've been speaking, I guess Frank never mentioned anything to you about this. He has about 10 aunts and uncles on my side of the family, all my brothers and sisters. Frank is the first of any of our children to be getting married, so of course we want to give anything we can towards his wedding and house. Everyone is getting so excited about it, and they're just waiting to see if they can help with anything.
Oh, that's great. Okay then, go ahead and let me know what you'd like.
Well, obviously, when it comes to gifts for your in-laws, you only have half the number of people to think about since Frank's father is gone. Just something simple would be fine. I don't need anything fancy or expensive. I don't want you to waste your money on anything impractical either, since it wouldn't get used. You know what? I do love blankets and quilts, but obviously they can't be used all year round, so that doesn't make sense. Maybe just a simple quilt that I could add some extra wool to for winter, when it starts to get colder. You know, I love pumpkins and cute little things like that, so look for something with that kind of pattern. If you get me a thin blanket, I could use it in summer and double up in winter.
Rita, how cold does your house get that you need 2 blankets at once?
Well, I have to wash each blanket about once a month, so I need more than one while the other is drying. Do you never think about needing a blanket while one of them is in the wash? How often do you do laundry? I actually still have one quilt that Frank's grandmother made. It's really beautiful and very warm. When it starts to get a bit tired, I can pass it on to you so you can stay cozy in the winter months.
This is a lot of talk about blankets, and she doesn't seem to be stopping soon. What does she actually want from me?
Oh, and another thing. I have recently decided that I would be interested in owning a luxury or designer bag. I don't care about any other expensive things, and I don't really support overspending, so you can just give me a Gucci bag or something and I'll be happy.
I'm a little confused. Earlier you said you didn't like my bag because it seemed like too much, but now you want a designer bag for yourself? I'm sure if you're expecting all this from me, then you must be planning on giving me an Hermes bag in return, right?
What? What do you mean?
Well, I don't think I'm going to be able to afford everything you're asking for, Rita. It just seems a bit much, what with the wedding and the house costs too. I mean, I know I can't afford it. It's as simple as that, I'm afraid.
Why are you bragging about how much money you've managed to save up if you can't afford gifts for your own mother-in-law? That's not very impressive. It sounds like your mom is doing pretty well for herself too with a pension like that. Can't she pay for it?
No, Rita, please listen. The money that my mom has saved now is just what she's using to pay her expenses every month. She doesn't secretly have a vault full of gold. The house is all she has, and she just pays for food and bills with her pension and what she has left. This is why my friends are able to ask their parents to help pay for their weddings, but I don't feel comfortable doing it. It would be a huge financial burden on my mom, and I don't want to ask her to do that. Right now, I'm able to pay for the wedding out of pocket with what I've saved up over the years. I don't have enough to give you hundreds of dollars in cash in a designer handbag, though.
Oh, is that so? You had told me that your mother and father had been quite successful, though. What happened to all their money? You told me that they had managed to save enough money for their older years after retirement. I appreciate that your father was ill and had medical bills to pay, but still. If your mom owns that house, she can't be doing too badly for herself. I'm sure you'll inherit it one day, too. My sister has spent her whole life working in a library near her house, and I would imagine she has a similar amount of money to your mother by the sounds of it, don't you think? Mom, why are you talking about this? Don't you just want to get to know Rosie? Don't you go getting involved in this. Just stay out of it. My sister's husband was a civil servant, too. He's been very generous through his life and gives money to everyone around him, saying he wants to share his good fortune. He owns a 15-story building, for God's sake. He has been a kind and generous man, and it's brought him good luck in his life. You have to be just as generous, especially with your new family. Clearly, your mom has raised you to be very tight with money and only spend it on the essentials, instead of sharing it with your loved ones. Saying you can't afford to buy your future mother-in-law a few presents is just learned behavior, and it's selfish of you. It's not a good thing to be so stingy with your money. You can't have any good luck if you don't share what you have with other people. You have to spend money to get money. I can't believe you don't know that. Mom, what the hell?
In our family, we were always taught that it's normal to try to get by on your own without reaching out to people you know for help. My mom wanted us to be independent so that we would never be reliant on anyone to help us survive. If you think that's being stingy, then fine. You're free to think whatever you want, I guess. I did wonder where he got the nerve to ask his friends to bring him money to the wedding, but now it all makes sense to me having spoken to you today. His financial habits seem to be a complete copy of yours.
How dare you talk to me like this? Babe, why are you talking like this? Do you not want to get married anymore? The way you're talking right now makes me feel like you're starting to have second thoughts.
If you had a daughter, would you leave her to struggle? If you think your son is precious, I hope you know that my mom feels the same way about me. The situation a child is raised in is irrelevant. You should just be satisfied that they're raised with love and care. Why are you looking for something from someone else's child, just because you didn't have it yourself?
You think I'm looking for something? You're not a therapist, you know. You can't tell what I'm thinking. Do you want me to be straightforward with you, since you don't seem to be getting the hint? This is so ridiculous. All I want is a card with a few $100s in it and a couple of nice things that I can unwrap. Is that asking too much?
See, now that I've asked and you're actually listening to me, you're finally saying what you actually want is compensation for losing your son. You clearly don't already have any of the things you're asking for. What are your plans for us? What will you give us for our wedding?
I've already raised my son for all these years, and I'm tired. I want him to become your responsibility.
If we're both earning the exact same amount, how do you decide who is responsible for who? We're both adults at the end of the day. Besides, I earn more than Frank. Did you know about that? Our company gives great bonuses every year, too. Last year, they gave out about $800,000 in bonuses to all their employees. That was in addition to our salaries, of course, and a lot of people got raises as well. Whichever way you look at it, I have a much better job than your son. I've clearly been raised well, since I'm earning much more than him at a company that rewards its employees often. My mom can ask for gifts from your son too, right? Since you're asking me to spend all my money on you.
Stop trying to change the subject. We were talking about what you're going to give me as thanks for letting you marry my son. Your mom isn't relevant to this conversation.
I know, I agree. But if you're asking for all of this from me, then surely my mom can ask for the same amount of stuff from your son. She is letting him marry her very successful daughter, after all. I was very clear from the beginning that I didn't want to ask for any help from either of our families, regardless of whether or not you would even be able to help us pay. Since I'm clearly trying to be independent, I'm not sure why you feel so comfortable demanding so much from me. You told me you raised your son, and I accept that. But I am just as precious and valuable as him, even if I am just a daughter. I'm more successful than him, in fact, so I have more to offer your family.
You're 3 years older than my son. You're well on your way to being an old maid if you don't get married now. Besides, your mom is clearly happy for you to marry my son, or she wouldn't have given her blessing and sent you over here to meet me. Don't act like she's disappointed in your choice of husband because you're so desirable. Marriage is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Are you really going to have a wedding without showing me the respect I deserve? You don't get a second chance to impress your mother-in-law, you know.
How many times do you keep coming back to the same points? I already know everything you've been saying. Sure, it's important that you get on with your daughter-in-law, but you can't be so picky about this. Your son is just another guy at the end of the day. You have done a great job raising him, and you have a lot to be proud of him for. But you have to remember that every mother feels the same way about her child and thinks they're the best person ever. Realistically, I'm way out of your son's league. I earn much more than him, and I have plenty of money in savings, too. Actually, that's another thing I should have mentioned. Has he explained to you how we're going to buy a house after the wedding? Do you know where the money is coming from? We need to save up $75,000 for the deposit. Your son told me he could pay half of that, but now it turns out most of his so-called savings are actually a loan he took out, so he can't put that money towards the house. Instead, I'm paying most of the deposit and more than half of the monthly mortgage payments after we move in, since I earn more than Frank. Now you're telling me you expect me to buy you a bunch of expensive gifts to thank you for letting me marry your son? I'm literally helping him to pay off his loans and paying for well over half of our future house.
If the two of you are going to live in the house, then the two of you should figure out how much you're each comfortable with paying. That's not my business. Why are you bragging about all of this? It's embarrassing to flash your money like this, you know.
I think you're the one who's trying to show off right now, Rita. It isn't enough to brag about the fact that you have a son and say that that's enough when he hasn't really done anything to stand out as a successful man that women should want to marry. Why were you so curious about my mom's situation? Let's come back to that for a moment. Do you remember what you said? That we could hope for some good luck later? The house my mom lives in is hers. She has paid for it with years of hard work, and she's earned the right to leave it to whoever she wants. Even if Frank does become her son-in-law, do you really think she would give it to him instead of one of her 2 daughters? Be realistic. I haven't even married your son yet. Don't you think it's a bit soon to start wishing for things he could inherit from my mom?
Is it a crime to be curious? I was just wondering about your family and your background, that's all.
My mom has never once asked me about your situation or finances, you know, which is how it should be. It's just awkward to be asking about my mom's income when you've never even met her. It's only the first time you're even meeting me. My mom has lived her life on her own, and everything she has is stuff she has earned for herself. She has the right to give it to whoever she wants, and I can tell you right now that I doubt that person will be your son. I was never interested in what kind of financial background Frank came from. It just isn't really relevant to me how rich his parents are. It seems a bit rich to be judging my family like this when you've never met them. It really doesn't reflect well on you. You just look like a money-hungry gold digger. I'm not feeling confident that I'll end up calling you my mother-in-law after this conversation. I'm leaving.
Babe, wait. Babe, please don't go. My God. I heard that your mom was a teacher at an elementary school, and I assumed she would have raised her own kids better than this. I thought you told me this girl was amazing, Frank. She has been nothing but incredibly rude and totally out of line this whole time. Do you really think you can talk to me like this? Where did your manners go?
You've never met my mom, but you've spent this entire conversation talking badly about her and deciding who her things will go to when she passes away. Do you really think I'm the one with bad manners in this situation? Never in my life have I heard someone say the things you've said today about a person they've never met before. If you really think begging for money and gifts like you have been counts as good manners, then we were clearly never going to understand each other.
Babe, please stop. Just calm down. We can work this out.
Stop calling me babe. I'm so disappointed in you today, too. Did you do anything to stand up for me while your mother was treating me so badly? Or did you just stand there? I should have known you wouldn't say anything. You never tried to defend me or smooth things over even once. Your mom just kept saying the same rude, cruel things over and over, and you watched it happen like an idiot. What is wrong with you? I don't want to see you ever again after the way I've been treated today. I deserve better than this, and I deserve better than you. I'm going home, so let go of my arm and don't try to follow me.
Sweetie, is that you?
Hi, Mom. Yeah, it's me.
What was your future mother-in-law like? Did you like her? Come on, come inside and catch me up on everything. I have no idea where your sister is. She went running off somewhere.
Mom, I thought I told you not to contact me and that my phone would be on silent. You were texting me constantly the whole time. I went and picked up the stuff you asked me to get on my way home. I had to run into the store really quick.
That's great, thank you. Anyway, tell me all about it. Did she seem to be nice to you?
I mean...
Did you introduce yourself properly? What did you think of her? Did she approve of you marrying Frank? I thought you would be back sooner than this. I don't know what held you up and kept you so late. I was trying to call you and make sure you were okay, but you weren't answering. I was sick with worry. How could you ignore me like that? And why won't you look at me properly?
I don't know, Mom. I think I'm just coming down with a cold. I told you my phone was on silent, so I didn't hear it.
Oh, I knew something bad had happened. I figured you must have been ignoring me on purpose so I wouldn't know. Do you want me to bring you some medicine?
What? That's totally overkill, Mom.
No, I'm being serious here. Come sit at the table over here and tell me how it went. Come on.
I really don't feel good, though. My throat is killing me, and I feel so tired and heavy all over. I'm definitely coming down with something. I was out of the house all day yesterday running errands and doing jobs, and I had to get up really early this morning, too. Can't we talk about this tomorrow? I'm so tired, I feel like I'm just going to fall over and pass out.
I just want to know if you think Rita liked you. Surely you can tell me that at least, even if you save the details until tomorrow.
Mom, have you ever heard of me meeting someone for the first time and them not liking me? I'm great at first impressions.
That's true. You're always so friendly and polite with everyone. It's no wonder you're so popular. You haven't told me how it went, though. Just a little teaser, please. What kind of things did she say? Was she beautiful?
She said I seemed really thrifty and good with money. I was telling her about how I've been saving for a while.
I bet she was so impressed with your sister's bag. That was a good idea to borrow it and really show yourself off to her.
I was talking to her about our actual lifestyle, though, and how we try not to spend on unnecessary things. We're a pretty frugal family, Mom. I think the bag was kind of overboard.
You know, I actually just started a new diet yesterday. Seeing how handsome Frank is, I figured his mom must be very beautiful and I didn't want to let you down. I'm going to be so toned and healthy when I finally meet her. I hope she'll see me and think I'm one of your sisters or something. That would be so funny. Oh, and I'm going to the spa tomorrow to get a massage. I can't believe we'll be hanging out with your in-laws before too long. How exciting.
God, how am I going to tell her? It'll break her heart. She clearly has no idea that it didn't go well. She's been wanting this for so long, too. I've never seen her so excited and giddy about something before. I can't bring myself to tell her. Why couldn't Frank's mom have behaved normally? We could have avoided this whole mess. She seemed so nice on the phone, too, and things started out so well. Where did it go wrong? I'm so sorry, Mom. I just can't get married. It doesn't feel right. Now I know what kind of a person Rita is. I think it's just the right path for me to stay single. Or at the very least, to not get married. I could never bring a woman like that into our family. She's so money-hungry and judgmental. Mom is going to think I've lost my mind, getting this close and then running away. God, I'm so nervous. I feel all hot and flustered. My whole body's on fire. Still, at least it's Saturday. It's a relief I don't have work after this. What do I say to my mom? She has no idea about what happened. She'll want to know what's wrong, and I'll have to say that Frank is useless and his mom is really rude and shallow. I could never have guessed how Frank had been raised until I met his mom, though. He didn't stop trying to call and text me all night long. I barely even slept. It's not his fault that he was born to a mom like Rita, though. I shouldn't blame him for that, at least. Maybe I could still marry him on the condition that we live far away from his mom? That way, at least I would never have to see her. It's better than disappointing my mom. She's been waiting so long for this to happen. I'm sure I could endure it until the wedding, and then we could move away. What the heck? Who was calling me so early in the morning? Oh my God, it's Rita. What does she want? Hello?
Rosie, what is wrong with you?
Do you need something? Why are you calling so early?
I bet you couldn't sleep, huh?
I'm sorry? I don't understand what you want from me.
I knew it. You know, after yesterday, neither me nor Frank could get any sleep. We've been awake all night. That's just not going to work, don't you agree? I need my beauty sleep. I can't believe you were so rude yesterday. It was completely inexcusable. Although I guess you have your parents to blame for thinking that was an acceptable way to behave.
If you have anything to say to me, please just spit it out.
My son has spent the entire night holed up in his room thinking about everything that happened yesterday. He is so stressed out, you have no idea. He's been drinking and crying all night, and he just finally fell asleep a few minutes ago.
Okay. Why are you telling me this?
Well, it seems clear to me now that my son really likes you. He must care about you a lot for what happened yesterday to have affected him so much. I guess I hadn't considered that before. I've realized that him being happy is more important than gifts and money for me when you get married.
Now she sees that she messed up big time. She's out here calling me at 4 in the morning trying to get her son his wife back.
So what I wanted to say is, don't worry about buying me anything or giving me any presents, and let's just keep the wedding going ahead smoothly. Okay?
I see.
Why aren't you saying anything? Answer me! I've just said I'll go along with how you wanted to do things. You should agree. I didn't prepare anything to give you either, and I'm sorry. Anyway, let's get you and Frank married, and the two of you can move in with me after the wedding. Instead of giving you a physical gift, I'll let you live at my house so you don't need to save a deposit or make any expensive mortgage payments.
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
I won't even make you pay me rent or anything. You can just give me $300 a month for me to spend on whatever. It's only fair to support your mother-in-law.
Rita, who are you calling my mother-in-law? It certainly isn't you. I'm not even married.
What? I just agreed to what you wanted to do. I'm being incredibly generous right now. I thought you said your mom used to work as a teacher in an elementary school. I hope she didn't teach all her students the same bad manners as she did you and your sister. Is this really any way to treat your elders? Just you wait and see what happens now.
Do you have a clock in your house? Or any kind of time-telling thing? It is 4:30 in the morning right now. It's too early for this. Maybe you don't think it's early since you're so old. I've noticed old people are always awake at the crack of dawn. I can't stand hearing you yelling down the phone at this time of day. It's just too much.
Why, you little... Put your mom on the phone right now. How dare you speak to me like that? I'm trying to get you to marry my son. Or would you rather die an old maid? You'll be lonely for the rest of your life. You really have no manners if you think you're about to hang up the phone on me.
Hey, Mom. I'm in here.
Give me the phone, sweetie. I'll deal with this. Rita, is that you? Who is this? I'm the woman you were just talking about. The elementary school teacher. Why were you trying to talk to me? I'm really not sure about your daughter, you know. Which daughter are you talking about? My eldest or my youngest? I can't talk to my younger daughter right now. She's working the night shift at the university hospital. She's a doctor, you see. I was talking to her about you at dinner last night, actually, and told her about what had happened. I know all about what you said to my older daughter when she came to meet you yesterday. You could give me all the money in the world and I would never let my precious daughter marry into your family. I don't care if you turned up at my house with your hands full of solid gold bars. I wouldn't do it to her. Having a shallow, selfish, greedy mother-in-law like you would ruin her. She is too kind and generous for the likes of you. I'm protecting her, and you'll regret ever speaking to her like you did yesterday. Shame on you. I don't care what kind of consequences you threaten me with either. Unlike you, I love and care for my daughter, and I will continue to do so for as long as I live. I've raised her better than to allow herself to be treated like you did yesterday. I don't care if you are older than her, or if she was going to be marrying your son. It was completely insane of you to say what you did. What did you say to me? I want to know what went so wrong in the world that you were trusted with raising a child. That poor kid. He can never run far enough away from you either. I can tell that wherever he goes, the ideas that you've taught him about money and demanding help will stick. My concern is that living with him would teach my daughter to accept the kind of behavior that you seem to encourage. I'm not letting her become your servant, living in your house and paying you rent while being treated like a cash cow. You should watch your mouth when you talk about my family. Act your age. I've had enough of hearing you act like a spoiled brat. This is embarrassing, seeing someone my age behaving like you have. You should really know better. Well, speaking to you, I can see exactly where your daughter learned her manners. She's a copy and paste of you, rudeness and all. You've never even met me. How can you talk to me like this? I've never been the sort of person to hold my tongue when someone is acting out of line, you know. And yet we all wish you would just shut up. My daughter is so far out of your son's league, it's ridiculous. She earns far more than him. She works harder. She's more qualified and skilled at her job. The list goes on. She's been slowly saving up for a house on her own for so long, putting some money away every single month without giving up, You're all talk. Your son is just an average guy with an okay job and no idea about how to budget and spend his money wisely. Rosie would end up acting like his mother and financial advisor in one if she married him. Looking at your daughter, I can see bits of you all over her. I guess that's to be expected, though, since children are always a reflection of their parents and upbringing. That's the first right thing you've said all day. I'm impressed. Your son is the sort of man who will give his friends $30 at their wedding and ask for $300 in return. Does that seem fair to you? Do you think it makes him look good to treat his friends that way? Where do you think he learned that from, anyway? Perhaps someone on the street told him that's how to get rich. My daughter has never expected anything from me. She has built a life for herself, and she's become so successful. For you to expect her to share her success with you is insane. Did you do all the work and keep pushing through every day? No. You're just as clueless as Frank, expecting to be given hundreds of dollars by his closest friends just because he got married. Hey, Fern. How come you're at home today?
I have the day off.
Looking at your face, I can tell those 3 years of residency were all worth it.
I don't know if the emergency department agrees. It's been tough lately. You must be so busy with all your wedding prep, right? How exciting! Although...
What is it?
Well, you remember your ex-boyfriend? The one with the crazy mother?
Yeah, of course. Why do you ask?
Well, I forgot to tell you that he got brought into the emergency room at my hospital earlier.
Oh my God, really? What happened to him?
He had some kind of intense stomach pain.
Is he okay now?
Yeah, he's fine. He was discharged pretty quick once they dealt with it.
That's a relief. I'm glad he was okay.
He came in with that horrible mom of his and his wife.
Huh, I guess he got married in the end.
Yeah, they caused a huge scene. They were yelling and fighting the whole time. It was pretty dramatic.
Damn, really? What were they fighting about?
God, he must be so embarrassed to think about it now. They were fighting in the hallway. I was so curious, so I was trying to listen in from the next room.
Are you meant to have this much free time in your 3rd year of residency? Shouldn't you be working? What were they even fighting about?
Well, it sounded like they've been married for over a year from what they were saying. His wife was so gorgeous, to be honest. They seemed to be talking about her mom demanding wedding gifts again, and they must have been expensive. It sounds like she had to take out a loan to buy everything Rita was asking for, and now she's in a load of debt.
Wow. I guess she didn't learn her lesson with me. I can't believe she would ask for so much stuff again after what happened last time.
I don't know. I could only understand bits and pieces. I can't believe she took out a loan, though. That was really stupid. She was asking why Frank wouldn't pay it back, since he's her son and everything. Yeah, that was about what they were fighting about. It was so loud, everyone could hear what was going on. Apparently, his mom keeps going over to visit them too and asking if they've paid it off, so they're getting really stressed. I don't know why Rita wouldn't offer to help them, but whatever. He was saying he thought his stomach pain was because of all the stress, and it honestly might be. I just hope this is a red flag to his wife and she gets out of there as soon as possible. The daughter-in-law grabbed Rita's hair and tried to throw her around. It was so crazy. They had to get security to pull them apart.
That sounds like a wrestling match. What the hell?
Can you guess who won, though?
I have no idea. Tell me.
Neither of them. They both got kicked out of the hospital. Everyone was staring at them fighting and kicking outside in the parking lot. It was really funny. Honestly, I would imagine they're still fighting now. It didn't look like they were going to stop anytime soon. I guess they're just going to keep punching each other until one of them gives up.
I dodged the biggest bullet of my life by breaking up with Frank. I would never have known until I met his mother, but thankfully I realized I didn't want to get married before we went ahead with the ceremony. About a year after I ended things with him, a friend of mine set me up on a blind date with a new guy. He was so warm, friendly, and kind-hearted. I was head over heels from the moment I met him. Yesterday, I met his parents for the first time in preparation for our wedding. Both of them were kind, welcoming, and completely the opposite of Rita. I couldn't have hoped for better in-laws. Looking at a parent, you can see bits of their child in them. The same goes for kids, and I knew my husband had been raised by good people. Everything went smoothly when we first met. and they seemed to really like me. They were enthusiastic about give and take, and were happy about setting some boundaries for after the wedding. Depending on the circumstances, modern women can feel pressure to support their families financially as well as being a good wife. My husband and I always share expenses where possible, though, and it has been the best way to prevent problems and arguments from ever coming up. My new in-laws also told me not to buy them any wedding presents, unlike Rita. They told me that it's not a legal requirement to spend money on your future in-laws. It's just culture and tradition in our neighborhood. They weren't worried about sticking to tradition, though, and told me to keep the money I had worked hard to save up. My now husband and I combined our savings to pay for the wedding of our dreams, and we did end up buying my in-laws some new clothes to wear to the wedding as a kind of thank you. My mother-in-law gave me a beautiful pearl necklace as a welcome to the family present, and I try to wear it whenever I can to show I appreciate it. I wanted to do something for her too, though, and I ended up buying her a new purse. It wasn't designer, but it was great quality, and she said she loved it. All in all, I guess everything worked out in the end. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope you enjoyed hearing it. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more.